Okay. It says I'm live.
Give it a second.
I'm hoping that it's not lying to me.
Currently, I don't see anything, but...
Okay.
Okay. I've got you. You're live.
Okay, perfect. Ugh, I'm sorry about that, everyone. Literally everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. The internet cut out, my game crashed, and then YouTube wouldn't connect to OBS. So, okay. So let's start this again. Thank you, Zen. That is good to know. I'm hoping that the lagging will not continue. The internet has been really unstable here for the past couple of weeks because of the storms. And I don't know if it's because of the flooding. Oh, hey, Liquid Zoo. It's good to see you. I'm glad you guys stuck around. That was really disappointing for my first stream. Okay. Oh, here on mute. Okay. So let's start an aquarium. I know that we didn't really get past... Oh. So that's the campaign portion. I meant to click my aquarium. So we can start a new aquarium. And let's do casual. So what do you guys think? I've already done the low boy. I'm thinking... Let's do something a little bit more challenging. I normally do not do tall scapes. But let's make it... Yeah. Oh, you have a corner tank and need ideas. So let's see here. We can probably squeeze both in. Let's do... So that's 25 gallons. Let's do a big one. 50 gallons. Okay, so the controls are actually pretty intuitive. There's a shaping tool where you can move the sand around. You basically just click and you shape it however you want. This can be changed. You can rotate yourself around. I have found out that starting out with a completely flat base and laying your hardscape first is the easiest, because otherwise you end up selecting stuff that you don't mean to. So let's do some things in the store and let's look at some hardscape here. So they've got some like cool mountainous rock looking stuff. Hey, Stephen P. It's good to see you. I'm actually really happy that everybody decided to show up. I was worried that nobody would make it. But we've got some cool, interesting rock designs in here. And then for driftwood, we've got some interesting stuff as well. Not as much selection as I would like, of course. I did use this piece in my last scape. I thought that was really cool. I love the texture of it. There's even a little bonsai in here. I wish the bonsai was taller. Will that fill this out? Probably not, huh? So it's, you use the E and the Q to like size up or size down. And then the W and S keys are going to be your tilt. But you can tell it doesn't want me to put this anywhere, so it's probably, yeah. See, there I can place it. But if you make it too big, it doesn't work. Hey, Fish Fam. So let's do... I want something tall. Ooh, that could be interesting. Let's rotate that. Let's do this direction. Do something vertical. Maybe in in the corner over here. Tall tanks are like my nemesis. I've never been very good at them. Oh yeah, that does mean the announcement worked. That's awesome. Thank you for that, by the way. That was really nice. Let's see here. What else can we throw in there as far as driftwood? That's the other thing. None of the colors match very well. So like if you use one piece of driftwood, you're basically just using one piece of driftwood unless you use like the same piece but rotate it. But let's see if we can find something similar enough. That looks like it's similar in color. Yeah, I think we could get away with that. Let's shrink that down a little bit. Do some rotating. That's still very large. That was very unnerving. I just heard myself on my husband's phone. No, okay, the Zen Ginger, there's no way to put things above the water line, which was a little frustrating. Oh, hey, Coro. It's good to see you as well. I really wanted to put stuff above the water line, and because I really love immersed grown plants, and I couldn't make it happen. So the program really doesn't like it when you try to do that. So it is limited in that way, but it's still fun. And that's the whole point of this, is like it's just a fun, kind of relaxing way to spend a little time. Okay, so we've got some movement. I think I'm gonna move. Let's rotate you a little bit that way. Maybe a little up. So you can also grab things with your mouse, and like this will, pulling it back and forth when you grab it this way will rotate it frontwards and backwards, and grabbing it like this will rotate it this way. I think this needs to come down a little bit more. And let's build up some substrate a little bit here. Let's see, does this? Okay, there we go. Let's turn that down a little bit. So you can kind of see this gives you a better idea of placement once you have the substrate built up. And this is your size tool. So this is how much sand you're moving at one time. So you can do a lot, or you can do a very tiny amount. That was a little too much. So this is something you can all play. This is available in the Steam store right now. It was a very inexpensive game. It already has 2 DLCs. I think that it's continually being supported, so you will be able to have probably future DLCs for this. And as limited as it is in some ways, it also is very intuitive for what it is. I've been pretty impressed with what I've been able to do with it. Let's move this guy a little bit that way. I want that angle to be a little deeper. There we go. So now we kind of have something that looks like one singular branch.
It's $6 right now.
Oh yeah, okay, so James just confirmed it's $6 right now on Steam. So if you want to play, it's worth the money. It's very cool for what it is. And for the amount of money you're paying, like the amount of enjoyment you will get out of a game like this, well worth the $6.
It's like 13 with with all the DLC.
Yeah, the DLC's included. It was like 13. I think I probably even paid more than that because it wasn't as deep of a discount. But this game goes on sale all the time. Okay, so now we have a nice slope. Let's look at some rocks. So this is kind of a difficult thing about this game is there's some really cool rocks in here, but they're like centerpieces. And then there's some unique stuff, like amazonite or amazonite. I think it's amazonite, but it's like almost like a green jadeite colored stone that's really cool. I have not seen dragonstone, but like this is like a centerpiece stone. Let's see here. We could do something like that. If we stick with one color, we can kind of make different types of rock work. I guess this is like the closest. We have limestone instead of dragonstone. Sandstone, that's marine. Shale. Slate. Does anybody have opinions? Yeah, that is one thing that makes this a little difficult when I'm like communicating with you guys in chat is I can't, like, you can't tell me what to pick. And they all have costs too. So everything you build has a price tag on it, which I think is interesting. You know what? Let's go up here to, let's try some of this. Oh, that is super large. Let's shrink that down a little bit. And thank you, Fish Fam. So that's the other thing. Sometimes they float in space until you fill sand underneath them. So that's a little bit weird. And you can reuse the same rocks for different spots. You just have to like change the size and change the rotation and get a little bit creative with the placement and everything. I may decide that I don't like this and, you know, change everything. Let's move. Oops. I am still learning the controls a little bit. In this game, it is a learning curve. Oh, I didn't like that. Come on. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So now we kind of have our centerpiece stone and we've got a little bit of a backdrop stone. Let's pick out this guy here. And you can do like some detail work. Let's make sure that's aligned with our substrate. And sometimes you need to bring the substrate up to meet your hardscape too, which is why I say don't bring the substrate up before you have a bunch of your scape stuff in there, because it can mess you up. Let's bring that down a tiny bit. And then you can drop the substrate back down and it will bring the object down with it. So there's some funky stuff with like the programming itself. Hey, Silver Creeks, it's good to see you. So many people are stopping by. This makes me feel so good. Thank you guys for coming in. She's under my chair.
Oh my goodness.
James is looking for my cat. She's underneath me right now. Let's see here. How do we want to place this? I want to create kind of a substantial moment here. Let's do... I might flip that around in a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna flip it around. That's the other thing. You got to be careful about which object you grab, because you can grab the wrong object and this does not have an undo button. So if you mess something up, you don't have a do-over. You just have to kind of live with the mistake you made and try to fix it. But it is a fun challenge. Okay, and I'll fill in some substrate back here. Let's do a little bit larger area. The other thing you're limited on is how tall you can make the substrate, which of course drives me insane because I'm one of those people that really likes having like a really tall substrate. Oh, thank you. You guys are so flattering. Oh yeah, there is a remove option. So there's a remove tool, but there's no undo tool. So if you place something and then like say I grab this and I just like, yeah, see, I just messed that piece up. And so now I have to go back and retilt it. And then if I want to move it back down, I have to bring the substrate back down so that it sinks the item. And then I have to bring it back up in the areas I want to bring it back up. So there are some things about this that, you know, can get a little bit annoying, but once you get the hang of it, you kind of learn the limitations of what it can and can't do. And I mean, for $6, it's hard to complain about a game that is so inexpensive and so robust for what it is. I find it a lot easier sometimes to place an item and then go back in and tweak it instead of trying to place it perfectly the first time. But I have been having a blast with this. I've only put a couple of hours into it. Whoops. So far, but I'm really enjoying it. And I think that's the point of a game like this, right? For personal enrichment and enjoyment. I also find this really relaxing. You know, there are some parts of it which I can see how some people might get frustrated, but for me, this is a problem to solve, right? It's a challenge that is the right kind of challenge for what my brain needs. Yeah. Yep. And consolidating tanks can be so hard. If you're like me and you like hoard hardscape, like I have a bunch of hardscape that's back there right now on a shelf that I still haven't decided what to do with. I'm not sure I like that. Let's bring that back down. And there's supposedly like quick access tools in this. I have not figured it out yet. There's supposed to be like shortcut keys that you can use to like cycle through the tools. Let's kind of smooth this slope out a little bit. There we go. Okay. And the depth in which you bury the rocks also can make a huge difference in how they look. So like these up here that I've buried quite a bit will have a different appearance obviously than something that I don't bury. Oh, that is so cool. That's a great tank size too. A 4x2x2 is great. You can do a lot with that without getting overwhelmed too. Okay. Come on. Doesn't want to turn. There we go. Okay. And let's move this guy back out of the sand a little bit. But this is actually a little bit realistic with like just placing stuff and seeing how it looks and messing with how things are laid out and, you know, reshaping it. What are we thinking so far of the rock layout? It bothers me that there's no like tiny detail stones and that you can't like cut rocks in half and stuff, but I mean, it is what it is. Maybe a chopped 55 or a bookcase. Yeah. No, there's no pebbles, which, I mean, okay, so from a 3D modeling standpoint, I can understand the choice they made to not do that because that would be a lot of logistics. I do actually have a little bit of a 3D modeling background. I went to engineering school. Never finished, but I went. And part of the thing about each of these objects is they all have different properties. And changing the way that they are situated and the way they interact with each other, having a bunch of really tiny, maybe they're rocks or to make a perfect circle around the wood. I'm trying not to be too perfect about it because I want it to look a little bit natural. As much as natural as it can be with a bunch of like bright green rocks. How small can this go? Okay, we can make that pretty small. Can I fit that in this back corner? Maybe. I think I may have to move the wood to make that fit. Meh. Okay. Oh, see, I just did it again. Oh, I actually kind of like that better. That kind of brought the wood up a little bit and filled in some of that space here, and then opened up some space here. Let's throw some more of these little pebbles in here, shrink them down really far. Maybe flip them over so they look a little different. Okay. That's working for me. Let's flip you back around. Not bad. Let's fill that in a little bit. Just right there, and a little right there. I think we're looking pretty nice here. Put the ending stone in the middle of the wood. I'm not sure I know what you mean. The ending stone. Like here? This one? I can try putting something in the center there. The problem is the geometry of the wood I don't think is going to allow it. Oh, okay. Okay. That worked. I am going to turn that around though, so it doesn't look exactly the same. Come on. Okay. Yeah, I wish I could shove this bigger one further forward, but I can't because of the geometry of the wood. It like hits the internal structure right there. Let me try it. Let me see. Let's move this there for a second. Can I move you? See, it starts hitting right there and it doesn't want to. Yeah, once we fill it in with plants, this will start looking real nice. And there's actually some red plants in here now. There was like hardly any red plants at first. And now there's a few. So let's see here. I want something tall for that back corner. Cardinal plant. Ooh, a rose sword would be cool. Let's see, did I actually? Kinda, I did. The Fibonacci spiral. Let's see here. And it does actually, this is cool. It tells you like the size and everything. So when you're looking at plants, you can see it's a big plant. And it'll even give you like pH range, temperature range, which for this plant, this information is fairly accurate. It's very general. But like the Echinodoros, the Amazon sword plants, I would say that the pH range is a little bit higher for this plant, mostly because I've kept it in high pH and it thrives really, really well. Definitely needs a nutrient-rich substrate. Let's try... Oh, they've even got some microswarm. So I'm going to be able to stick that on the driftwood. That's going to be fun. Okay. Yeah, let's just go with one of these. Oh, and see, this is the other issue that I've run into. If I want to stick a plant back here, the plants don't flex at all. So you have to shrink them down to make them fit in certain areas, and even then, sometimes they will not. Yeah. So that's a little bit annoying. So I'm going to have to pick something tall and skinny for that spot. Oh, let's see here. Kabamba's always a good choice. Let's see, I used some hair grass and it actually looked pretty good. If you increase the size up, that was a little too big. See, I want something taller and more impactful for that area. What does this look like? I really don't want a red plant as like a background plant. See, it's not even gonna let me put this here either. I may have to move this and like bump everything out a little bit to make this work for a plant back here. That's a very interesting illustration of moneywort. I don't think I've ever seen moneywort illustrated that way. Maybe the substrate is the issue. Maybe I need to just like bring this area up a little bit so it's more smooth. No, it's definitely the geometry and intersection. It doesn't know what to do with the geometry. Is not flexible, it's rigid. Watercress. See, this is nice and tall, but it wants me to like see, and that won't even fit. Tall, skinny, tall, skinny. Well, we can go a different route and we can just stick some stuff all over that driftwood back there. This is cool. This is something I really thought was interesting about this. You can put Anubias all over hardscape. So like, oops, wrong direction. Get increasingly, oops, a little bit too large. Increasingly larger Anubias. Let's turn you around. And it will cling to the surface of the wood. And you have to like kind of rotate it around, get it in the right position. But like, that looks pretty good, right? Oh shit. I'm very impressed with how that works. Let's see what else I can throw in there. I love epiphyte plants. It's one of my I frequently use epiphyte plants in my own scapes. Will this one not? Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is something that is an issue. The microsorum does not stick to the wood like the other plants. It wants to be in the substrate, which does not make a lot of sense for a microsorum, does it? So I used the Java moss already. Let's try some Christmas moss. And what I usually use these moss pads for is to kind of cover up some of the roots so that you get a little bit more of a cohesive look. And you can actually do this with your regular aquariums too. If you're not liking the look of your Anubias roots just hanging out, you can cover it with moss and it makes it a little more attractive. Look how much better that looks. Yeah, okay. So I still really want something to sit back here. Can I move this just a tiny bit? And then maybe move this guy. And build the substrate up. Okay, I am going to attempt to put a plant back here. Tall, skinny, tall, skinny. Giant Val, maybe? It really doesn't want me to. Ah, that is so frustrating. Because I want it to. Oh, wait, wait. Did I get it? How big can I make it? Yeah! That actually looks pretty good right there. So the trick is I had to turn it so that nothing was intersecting with the glass. Can I now turn? There we go. See, we can make it work. We just gotta play with it a little bit. So what's been going on with everybody lately? How's everybody been? I haven't talked to most of you in a long time. Most of the time I spend in live streams is moderating for work, and that's work. Let's throw some red in there because this is a tank full of green and we gotta throw some red in there. I think maybe we kind of bring the red through the center a little bit with some of this. Make a thick little bushel. There we go. See, you can get some intersection with rocks, but it's picky about which plants it lets you do that with and where it will do it. Plants will usually intersect with each other, no problem, but not with hardscape. Oh yeah, let's throw a hood on there. Shed some light on the matter. So there's a light hood that you can put on there along with a couple of other different, like, so this is like a full cover hood and I only like the white light. But I'm a bigger fan of this style here. We could make it look like a black water tank. And make it like a little bit yellow orange. You can't do black water in this, which is a disappointment for me. Pretty okay in your house? Oh, new baby cherry barbs. That's awesome. Oh, and a baby hillstream. Bunch of ginkgo rubra and endler fry. Spring has sprung. Yep, that is true. I know my CPDs have been breeding like crazy, but I'm fairly certain my tiger shrimp are eating the eggs. I haven't witnessed that, but I only get like 1 or 2 babies, and I like see them doing the deed in the big thick hair. It's like a ball of hair algae that's probably this big. I see them spawning over that all the time, and I should have more babies than I do. I like this. We're gonna throw that right front and center here. Let's shrink it down a tiny bit. And I feel like this needs to be in the background. And bigger. Can we make it even bigger? Oh. See, and that doesn't make any sense. You can stick the sword plant to hardscape, but you can't stick the Java fern to it. Make it make sense. put you... Okay. Oh, no. See, I accidentally deleted my main piece, and now I have to go redo it. Oh, man. And it deleted all the plants I put on it, too. I feel like that's way smaller than originally. Where was this? There we go. Sorta. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense to me. They forgot to click a box on the Java fern. So how these plants behave is gonna be like a yes/no thing. You know, in the programming itself, it's gonna be a yes/no switch. And so they probably just didn't do that for the one plant, and now it's messed up. And only the real nerds are gonna notice. That looks really nice there. Can I make these bigger now? No. No fun. The best part about this game is it's just a game. You can do whatever you want. You can scrap a tank completely if you want. That's an interesting way to render Hydrocotyl Japan. One of my favorite plants, by the way. It makes a fantastic ground cover plant if you want to put enough light on it to make it carpet. But it also grows like a weed, so... You can actually plant it on surfaces as well. The roots won't grip, but if you plant it on something porous enough, it can be a plant that grows on like driftwood and stuff. Let's see, I'm gonna raise the substrate a tiny bit right there to give this a little bit more support. Bump you up. Oh, it actually didn't. There we go. Well, a little too far. There we go. I really like this Christmas moss. Oh, Sagittarius subulata. Dwarf Sag. Dwarf Sag is an interesting plant because it will grow really tall if you don't give it enough light. The max I've seen it grow is like 12 inches in my lowest light tanks. But it can be a great nano option to mimic the appearance of Val without having a plant that is the size of Val. I know that Val can be really intimidating for a lot of people because of how tall it gets. And this plant can be a little bit more forgiving. You can control its height with trimming and light. It grows pretty fast. It's super hardy. It tends to be okay in harder water. And if you do really high light and CO2, it will carpet and it will stay, 3 to 4 inches tall. So there's a lot you can do with this plant in smaller tanks. Do a little background filling here. Do like a mini carpet. This isn't very realistic because you wouldn't want to put a plant that you wanted to keep short this far away from the lighting, because the lighting source, if you look up, is right here. And this far away from the light, this is probably going to realistically get a bit taller. Whereas your carpeting plants, you would want to focus more in the center so that they're right underneath that light and they're getting the most of it. Let's throw, ooh, that's pretty. Let's throw some of that in there. The other thing that I noticed is the sizes on these plants are not very realistic, because like you can make this huge. That's not getting that big in real life. There's just no way. Stick that right there. I think that makes a really great centerpiece. Kind of want to shrink it down just a tiny bit though. There. Let's fill in some more hydrocotyl. Oh, interesting. Why did it get darker? That must be a glitch. Okay, I'm liking that. Okay, so let's get some epiphytic plants in here. I like how they have duckweed in here. Duckweed is the bane of my existence lately. Oh my god. I have so much duckweed. I don't know what to do with it all. Every time I scoop it out, there's just more, and I don't have a goldfish to feed it to. One of my friends has a goldfish named Ponyo, and she's so stinking cute. I really love goldfish, but I love plants more. And so that's been my motivating factor for not getting a goldfish, is I really don't want a fish that I can't really keep in a fully planted tank. Your trout goodeids eat duckweed. Interesting. Do they also eat your plants? Because I found most fish that will eat duckweed will just like munch on plants. And that's one thing I can't. Plants are kind of my focus, so like I definitely love my fish. My paradise fish are, they're one of my favorite projects that I have going right now, but I just don't think I could do a fish that habitually eats plants. I do know that goodeids are typically pretty good at eating algae. So I have been interested in them for that purpose, but I've never heard of them eating duckweed or plants. Okay, so now we have some illusion of depth here because we've got some larger Anubias in the front and some smaller in the back, so it makes this look a little bit deeper than it is. You can strategically place differently sized plants too. This kind of got shadowed out a little bit. Let's shrink you down a tiny bit, I think. Yeah. And this also isn't very realistic because you wouldn't put a low light plant, you know, where light is blasting on it. They aren't eating the red root floaters, but they cleared the duckweed out in 2 weeks. Oh. How would a trout goodie behave in a tank with paradise fish, though? Because I have paradise fish in like every tank. They're my current obsession. I really, really love paradise fish. I love their behavior. They remind me a lot of bettas, without the health problems of bettas. Try some crystal. I don't like the texture of that. The illustration on that is not as good. Cover up some roots. Oh, you only had them for a few weeks. Okay. Voracious eaters. Maybe not good with... Okay, so paradise fish are not timid. They are extremely aggressive. They can be bullies. My Zhao King paradise fish, my black paradise fish, they're pretty amicable with the tetras that they're in with. And then my standard paradise fish, Bubbles... he's a regular orange and blue one. He lives peacefully with a bunch of tetras. He's never bothered them. But he also was a baby when I put him in there. I don't know how he would behave if I put him in with new fish as an adult. I also have no idea what he'd be like to breed, although I want Bubbles baby so bad. He's so pretty. Fill in some of this back area. I really like my tanks to look good from most angles too. I'm actually not loving this. I think I might put something a little bit more discreet there. Or we could just throw a water lily in there. Maybe make it bigger. Can I make it real big? Oh. Okay.